So Namm 2023 has come and gone. I'm super bummed I didn't get to go this year. I'm not going to go into it, but you gotta love the internet though. I missed all my friends out there, but it's cool that you still got to keep up with all the gear announcements from afar. Obviously, we had some big players missing this year, but there were still a lot of things that stood out. So smack a like on the video if you're going to enjoy it, and here are my list of highlights and key takeaways from Namm 2023. The main thing that I got from Namm this year is that, at least from the big brands, everything is much slower. There wasn't that massive explosion of new gear announcements that you'd have like in the before times. In the case of brands like ESP, they've announced new stuff. I've got a whole video on that I'll link to in the cards that you can check out after this video. But for the most part, they're still kind of catching up on delivering what they announced in 2022. And a lot of other brands are just trying to keep up with current demand. Supply chain is still massively fucked. The pricing on stuff is kind of insane, almost double in some cases what it was just 5 years ago. So that's led to less future gear announcements. And Epiphone and Gibson have actually been key trailblazers, which you don't hear a lot, but in the trend of announcing things the week or even day that they're available. So it kind of makes you wonder what the future of Namm as a marketing hype event is if the bigger brands continue in that direction. It's going to be much more difficult for the smaller brands to make a big splash without that massive captive Namm audience if it goes away in the future. But anyways, even though there wasn't as big a, what did I call it, a gear explosion as there has been in the past, here are some interesting things that caught my eye. First off, Evertune dropped a bridge for bass. Finally. I feel like they've been teasing this forever. Like, at this point, we'll get the Evertune Tremolo in 2030, maybe. Nah, but this is great. Evertune's changed the game. Consistent, perfect tuning 100% of the time for every string. It's kind of jarring, actually, going from playing an Evertune's guitar for an hour to a guitar with a regular bridge. Suddenly, pitch drift is a thing again. Chords are slightly out of tune. And in the context of a mix, it's so important that the bass, the guitars, everything is locked in together. Like, I don't think you realize how much guitar tone in a mix is the bass. So it helps if that is perfectly meshed. And Evertune for bass is a huge step towards that. Big time saver in the studio, especially with those long scale lengths, eliminating pitch drift and intonation issues. This is kind of amazing. Like, think about that. Perfectly in tune bass chords. I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed it doesn't look like in Evertune. I feel like Evertune bridges have such an instantly identifiable look on guitar that just isn't here with the bass version, but it also doesn't look as invasive with the routing. The guitar bridge requires an intense amount of routing if you've never seen one. Definitely plan on getting one of these into my Squire bass just to check it out. Valiant Guitars dropped a new model at the show. My mind is still kind of blown that they're making such ridiculously high quality instruments in a fucking war zone. So the new model is called the Mercury. It's like an HSS offset Strat. Looks super dope. It's got all the signature Valiant features like the custom bridge with belt bronze saddles, Duralumin components, and you've even got the Jaguar style controls. They use bare knuckle in everything. Super versatile guitar, locking tuners. I just love their style of classic inspired Restamod guitars. I kind of want a single humbucker version in aged seafoam green, like a little mix of Tom DeLonge and Kurt Cobain. But yeah, amazing again that they've been able to do anything, let alone make some of the best guitars I've ever played given their situation. Just a ridiculously inspiring story. Then it's been a very eventful year for Dean, to say the least. The V and Z are gone, along with the former CEO, in the midst of some absolutely wild allegations. But here's some positive news. Kerry King's new signature, the Overlord, has been revealed. And oh my god, it's so fucking ugly. It's like the previous earwig signature, I forgot what they called it, but with extra growths. But I love how just unapologetically metal as fuck it is. I'm sure my 13-year-old self would have appreciated the edginess of the pentagram and upside down cross inlays a lot more, but you know, at least it's different. There's not enough different in the guitar world these days. Everything's a Strat or a Les Paul or a Tele. This is, well, I don't know what the fuck this is, but it's different. It's also got Kerry King's preferred controls and electronics, EMG 81 in the bridge with a preamp booster, Sustainiac with the Kaler Trem for musically questionable solos that he's known for. I mean, yeah, it's not necessarily one that I'd like to own, but god damn, I mean, we're talking about highlights, and this one fucking stands out. Not a lot in the world of new tube amps, but Ashdown dropped the very catchy named MF484, taking notes from Ibanez, I guess. It was pretty funny. A lot of the outlets were touting this as the next big thing, like, oh my god, they're combining all tube tone with a, quote, unique technology, starting with the measurement of an actual cab and mic setup. Listen, it's basically what Rev have been doing, but in a more classic rock-focused context. I've never heard of Ashdown amps before, but the way they describe it as combining the classic tone of a valve amp with the modern technology of amp modeling, they called it, it makes me think that maybe this company wasn't started by Gen Z. Because, like, I guess it's not really amp modeling though, it's dynamic impulse response technology, nothing to do with the amp, technically, and amp modeling historically has had a negative connotation. Think the Line 6 Spider. The Ashdown is one of the first classic Marshall-inspired amps to come with 2-notes technology though, in this responsible 30-watt form factor, and it's the only one that comes with this outstanding classic tube radio aesthetic. Still have dropped a new Surfliner Deluxe guitar, HSS offsets with classic Art Deco stylings. Their first models with roasted maple necks too. I just love the vibe of them. I don't know how Guild has evaded my radar for so long. It comes in black metallic, evergreen metallic, and rose quartz metallic. And for $700, they look like great, unique workhorses or mod project candidates. For Namm 2023, Ibanez has added new signature models to their already pretty stacked signature lineup. My highlights are the new Paul Stanley Broken Mirror Iceman, made in Japan, Seymour Duncan Custom 5 and 59 pickups. Judging by the binding and inlays and where it's made, I know it's not going to be cheap. This is the greatest version of this model ever though. I have never wanted a Broken Mirror Iceman more. Steve Vai has an absolutely insane Brilliance of Now model commemorating 35 years of working together with Ibanez. Swirl guitars are already cool, but the pattern they've done on this one is, it's insane. It's like the best visual interpretation of Jefferson Airplane that I've ever seen. Then Joe Satriani has a Paisley version of his signature. Usually you'd only see something like this on a Telecaster or another Fender style guitar. On an Ibanez Super Strat though, with the Sustainiac, super cool. And then let's speed run the rest. Another Satriani, a dual humbucker version of his Chrome Boy, a white version of the HSS AZ inspired LB1. Ichikanito has another signature with Ibanez to accompany his headless, a Heylmun this time with triple singles and a roasted maple neck. And lastly, Martin Miller has a new signature. Same color scheme as his previous one, this time in the AZN configuration though. So that's HSS with the covered humbucker, and that's the best HSS aesthetic. Plus, you get that extra versatility with the single coils. More interesting than the Ibanez signatures for me though, the new Chapman guitars. Now, Chapman's been in the news a couple times recently for, let's see, the rocky start to the relaunched British Workshop series. I forget what they're calling it now, losing Rob Scallon to Schecter, and for Rabia leaving for, it's just been revealed, Ernie Ball Music Man. Good for him. But I think what gets overlooked is that Chapman's dropped an impressive 2023 import range, and they've just announced a signature for Chris Robertson of Blackstone Cherry, one of my favorite bands ever. Semi-hollow white ML3 with an alder body, maple top, and his signature bare knuckle Peacemaker humbuckers. It's a nice blend of classic and modern. I was talking to Chris a while back asking if there might be a signature model in the works. At the time he couldn't confirm nor deny, but this was basically what he described if he was going to make a signature, so it's awesome to see it actually come to fruition. And I was wrong. I thought that Rob Chapman taking a stake in Cerberus guitars meant that the Ghost Fret would not be coming back, but it's back. Direct mounted Seymour Duncans this time, and I'm glad they've resumed the super bright satin tops, although it doesn't look like they're flamed anymore. These were always fun with the smaller EX style body. Good to see it back in the lineup, even if it probably isn't neck through anymore. And Jackson actually did a thing too. Mark Heylmun of Suicide Silence, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, got a new signature, a 7-string Pro Series Rhoads, pinstripes and everything. No inlays, gold Floyd 1000, and dual Fishman Fluence moderns. And I'm not the hugest Jackson fan, but I respect Jackson's legacy as a metal trailblazer, and I've been begging Jackson to do something, anything modern with their iconic shapes, and that's exactly what they've done here. Made it 7-string, thrown in Fishman Fluences. Very cool. On to Ernie Ball Music, man. So last year they announced the 7-string Kaizen, a surprise collaboration with Tosin Abasi, who also has his own guitar company, Abasi Concepts. And the Kaizen is kind of a mix between a modern ergonomic multi-scale guitar and a stealth fighter. Crazy conical fingerboard radius they call the Infinity Radius. There's now a 6-string version that comes in chalk white, indigo blue, Apollo black, and mint. I get why they launched extended range only last year, but it's great to now have a 6-string version in the lineup as well. Then Sterling, they've got a couple new models that are definitely worth paying attention to. Another quick speed run incoming. There are new colors for the Mariposa, new colors for the CT30 HSS, a chambered version of the Valentine, including one with the Bigsby. Albert Lee has new P90 and roasted maple neck equipped signatures, but one that really stood out to me more is the modern-inspired CT50 Plus. The reinvented roasted maple CT50 HSS was what sold me on Sterling after my less than stellar experience with the Sterling Majesty, and now they've given it a slightly upgraded version. Higher output modern pickups, push-push mid-boost, and big block inlays. Comes in chalk and aqua gray. They've also launched an affordable version of St. Vincent's Music Man Goldie. Essentially, that crazy signature shape, reverse matching headstock in triple gold foil mini humbuckers. So damn classy. It's got a roasted maple neck too, although it looks like a rosewood board instead of the original's ebony. That being said, that seems like a pretty reasonable compromise given this will cost around $800 versus the $3,000 USA version. Speaking of golds, Mateus Asato has 2 new signature Suhrs, and holy shit, they are gold. Now, his older model is like my dream Strat. Shell pink antique, roasted maple neck, compound 9 to 12 inch radius, stainless steel frets, HSS with a covered humbucker. I'm gonna have to move some stuff because $4,000 is not cheap, but Suhrs are that price for a reason. This time, T-style shapes, gold anodized pickguards, same neck specs. The hardtail version has a signature MAT pickups and Suhr's silent single coil system, plus a reverse headstock to make it a little edgier. Then the other one has a Godot trem and dual Lawler gold foil humbuckers. And gold foils are just funny, man. It just describes the look. It's not a solid indicator for the sound because gold foils back in the day were all over the place. Some were pretty solid, others were basically just damn fridge magnets in a box. But nah, these are my favorite types of guitars. Classic looking instruments that are absolute modern beasts. ENGL Amps, sadly no relation, is celebrating their 40th anniversary with limited edition racing stripe fireballs in 100 watt and 25 watt versions with matching cabs. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't care how fast they make the amps go. I'm never a huge fan of the racing stripe aesthetic. However, I love how they're doing something fun like this instead of the generic, oh, we'll make it gold or fucking silver or whatever. Limited to 40 units each worldwide, so they're probably already gone at time of filming, but if you want to get one, better move quick. Get it? But yeah, that's what stood out to me at this year's NAMM show, besides the absence of Gibson and Fender, obviously. Actually, quite a few highlights, judging by how long I've been recording. But usually around NAMM time, I'm dropping a separate video for Music Man, for Ibanez, for each major brand. And I've already done a couple of dedicated videos, but the rest I'm able to just fit into this one recap video, you know? It's just a different vibe. I really hope it's just a blip while the show regains its feet and gets back to normal next year, where we can have a proper winter NAMM instead of randomly in April. It's incredibly expensive for the exhibitors, but I think this type of event really brings value to the community, and it'd be really sad to see it follow E3 into slow oblivion, especially since there's nothing that can really replace it. Anyways, hopefully my fears are completely unfounded. Everyone I've talked to that went said it was fun to meet up with everyone, so here's where I'll throw it to you. What stood out to you at this year's show? What were your key takeaways? And what do you think will be the future of NAMM? Let me know what you're thinking down below. But that will do it for this video. Massive shout out to my patrons who make each and every piece of content possible. Their names are up on the screens right now. Love you guys. Consider joining them if you want to support what I do. There's also YouTube channel memberships to leave a tip, or you can grab yourself some comfy merch, help me reinvest back into the channel, make better content. Really appreciate you guys in advance. Social media, Discord, and affiliate links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I will see you for the next video.